What's going on, Commie?
I got to be honest, guys. I don't feel great today. I do not feel great.
What have you been up to, Tommy?
You know what? I haven't watched a whole lot of hockey, actually, but the last couple days I got invited out. So spent Saturday and Sunday night out in Las Vegas, and I got invited to play a golf course called Shadow Creek.
Oh, yes.
And that one for me is a very tough one to say no to. So actually, overall for Vegas, I was very behaved, but I definitely am not feeling awesome right now. That's for sure.
Well, we'll get the wheels going for you here and start picking your brain and just get you back on track here. How does that sound?
Oh, boy. You got a tough job. You got to find it first, I think. But, yeah.
Well, the Maple Leafs, since Four Nations have they went on a little bit of a skid, and it seemed like Leafs Nation was acting like they had completely imploded and the season was over. I mean, classic overreaction. But from what you've seen from that Leafs team this year and what they've done and what they haven't done, what's your take on this particular team in Toronto this year?
I mean, just in general, like I said, I've been in Vegas. I haven't seen the last few games. I know they just spanked the Flames, didn't they?
Yeah.
6-2?
Yeah.
Did I see that right? Something like that. But I haven't seen a Leafs game in a little bit. But from what I have seen and from what I've been reading, and I listen to the radio and all that. I mean, I'm down in Phoenix, but I got Sirius XM, so I listen to that. I think, like I said, not an expert, but I think I definitely like them just as much or maybe even more than I have over the last few years. I think a big thing for them, and I'm actually amazed by this guy a little bit. I didn't think a lot of him until I started watching him more when he was in Calgary and then meeting him in person. That Tanev was a great pickup for the Leafs, and I didn't really believe it. I thought he was maybe it's the defensive defenseman in me, and I was jealous. I don't know, but I was like, man, I don't see it. And then I started watching him, and I'm like, man, this guy it doesn't look like a whole lot, but he gets a lot done. So yeah, I mean, I think I like him a little better than I have the last few years. Does that make sense? What do you guys think?
No, that's totally fair. And I think the biggest reason for me, at least, not to speak for Rosie, the crease has been solidified. I thought Joseph Woll was good last night, but Anthony Stolarz has been a great story. And I really like what they've done with the blue line. Even at the deadline, Commie, they brought in Brandon Carlo from Boston. Oh, yeah. And I think it just slots everybody better. And maybe I'm in the minority in the analytics community specifically, but I think you need a big, bad blue line, man. This Maple Leafs team has it to a degree.
You know what? We all love goals. Look, and I'm not saying it because I was a defensive defense. I like watching offense. We all love goals and everything like that. But, speaking for the blue line, I mean, I think if I was building a team, which I never will be, but if I was, I would have two defensemen that could, run my power play a little bit, maybe, a little shiftier, better with the puck. And the rest of the guys, I'm finding I'm going to try and get them as big as possible and play some defense. Shoot the puck off the glass, get it out, be hard to play against. Let the other two take care of offense. So, I mean, defense wins titles, in my opinion, in every sport. So that's good to hear. How's Berube been?
I mean, you've been a part of several teams that have gone all the way. You've won a Stanley Cup. You've been to the finals. You've seen what it looks like and followed the game since then, obviously. Everyone talks about the Leafs in particular for not having X, Y, or Z. People talk about the back end, but the Carlo pickup, you talk about Tanev. It's not the stuff that jumps out on the highlights or on the score sheet, and you're probably biased because you were a stay-at-home D-man kind of thing, but those little fucking plays along the wall and out of the corner and behind the net, and when you choose to hit the seam or go up the wall or go behind the net, like those tiny little things. You watch Tanev. I agree. When he came here, I'm like, yeah, I knew he's a shot-blocking machine. Cool, man. Like, fuck, how much? That's great.
Yeah,
how reliable is he? And I've been blown away by how valuable that is. And you don't see it, but if you watch for it, it's certainly there.
Yeah, no doubt. Like, Tanev makes a bunch of plays that they're like you said, unless you're looking for it, you're probably not even going to notice. And you have to know what you're watching for a little bit. But look, and it's funny you talk about this. I was just in Columbus for the outdoor game, and the Columbus Blue Jackets, compared to expectations and with that tragedy, the Columbus Blue Jackets are having an excellent year. And Jared Bowles, their assistant coach, and so I was talking to him. I'm like, hey man, you guys are playing great. Keep it up. Like, what do you think the big difference is from last year to this year? He's like, you know what? He goes, with this new coach, he goes, we get the puck out. If you can make a play, awesome. But if there ain't something right there, take a look on the wall, take a look in the middle quickly. If you don't like it, just get it out and we'll worry about it later. And he's like, dude, he's like, last year we're just turning pucks over. We're playing in our own end. He goes, this year the guys just, if there's nothing there, just get it out and chase it down and go from there. Honestly, I mean, I know it's not sexy and it's probably not what people want to hear, but I think that's a good way to win a lot of hockey games, in my opinion.
I think we call it snapping it around in the hockey world, because even that's what I noticed from Ottawa over the weekend is how quickly they get the puck out of their zone. And to me, when the Leafs have been at their best this season, that's been the story, is how quickly their transition game and getting it to the big boys up front, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the quicker you can get it out of your own end, and like, the Leafs for the last, since Matthews has been there, you got some guys there that can definitely score. And if you can get it to them as quickly as possible, I mean, if you're not in your own end, you shouldn't get scored on. So yeah, I mean, the Leafs, I think, I mean, you guys talk about it a lot, and it's the Leafs. So, I mean, everybody panics and then they're winning every year and everything like that. But I think in general, I think they've kind of like sort of steadily in little increments gotten better the last few years, a little bit defensively. And I guess just maybe more team wise. It's like a team game. And I think they're trending in the right direction.
And going back to like what I was saying to start this show, like the complete meltdown from Leafs Nation because they go on like a 4, 5, 6 game slide is kind of crazy. But like, I know they're under a microscope here, but you've been part of those teams that I mentioned that have been good enough to do it all, like the best teams in the world. It's not perfect, is it? Like when Carolina, for example, like, do you remember periods of that season where you guys just couldn't fucking find it and you weren't very good, and like you're in Carolina, so it slides under the radar? Like, a team that wins the cup isn't perfect all season long.
No, we were far from perfect. Like, what I remember from that year in Carolina, and we had an excellent hockey team. I remember we went on 2 9-game winning streaks, so that was fun. That was the only time I did that or was part of anything like that. And I remember we were pretty solid, like I'd say up until March. I want to say, like, I don't think we lost 3 games in a row. I wouldn't bet my house on it, but I think, we'd lose 1, we'd lose 2, and then we would win. Like, we didn't, I don't think we lost like 3 games in a row until it like, you'd like to kind of, now we ended up peaking at the right time, I guess. But, in March, I remember we weren't very good. So like pretty much right about this time of year now, we lost like 3 or 4 games, got spanked a few times, if I remember correctly. And we were like kind of going the wrong way, but we got it together and we kind of get back on track a little bit. And I mean, like, we lost games 1 and 2. Once we got to the playoffs, we're the number 2 seed. We would have been the number 1 seed if we won our last home game. Sorry, but we lost it. Everybody thinks we did that on purpose. We did not. We were trying to win the game. So we finished second. We played Montreal, and before we knew it, we were down 2-0. But nobody really panicked, but yeah, we also weren't playing in Toronto. So, we could go out to lunch or turn on the radio and then people aren't ripping on us and nobody knows who we are. So we just got our stuff together and kept going. So I realized, I mean, I never played in Toronto. It would have been a great experience. I wish I would have, but I definitely do know it's a different animal. You're going to hear about it. But yeah, I mean, hockey's not a perfect game. Hockey's a reaction game, and it's a game of mistakes. There's mistakes almost every shift. And if you can just kind of manage those a little bit and not panic, I think you're going to be better off.
Certainly. And long ass time ago, obviously, but the one thing that sticks out for me is a guy named Cam Ward. And something I brought up earlier on was the goaltending. I feel really, really confident in Toronto's crease right now. What do you remember about Cam Ward's run to the Conn Smythe that year?
Yeah, I mean, we had that year we had 2 great goalies. Everybody forgets about Martin Gerber. Martin Gerber won almost 40 games that year, I think. Like, he was our starter. Cam, it was his second year pro. He turned pro, and we played in the minors together, the lockout year. And you know what? Cam was, he played good during the regular season, but he wasn't the starter. He didn't have all that many opportunities. And like I said, we went down 2-0 to Montreal. We lost 2 games at home. So we're going to Montreal down 2-0 round 1, and fired Cam in net. And he was excellent. I mean, he made Made all the saves he should. I mean, he was incredible the whole time. But at the same time, we're talking about, not being perfect. Cam Ward won the Conn Smythe. He got yanked in the third round a couple of times, and we brought Gerber back in. So, he was the MVP. There's no question about it. He was awesome. But he wasn't perfect either. But in saying that, I mean, he definitely saved me quite a few minuses. I do remember some very nice saves that he bailed me out on, for sure.
That's funny to say, because when we talk about, the goaltenders, which have been not too short of unbelievable in Toronto here with Stolarz and Woll, everyone's like, oh, they don't have the experience, and Stoli hasn't been a starter, and Woll doesn't have the numbers and the experience behind him. Well, you look at Aiden Hill and Binnington and Cam Ward, and you just need to have a goalie that's good enough to get hot at the right time. And like you say, it doesn't even have to last all 4 rounds. Just get hot at the right times and get yourselves the wins that are the most important.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth a little bit, but Vegas won the Cup not that many years ago, and their goaltenders, I hadn't even heard of them. I mean, and they were fine. So, yeah, I mean, the experience thing is nice. I mean, sure, we'd all like to have, I'm sure a lot of Leafs fans would like to toss Martin Brodeur in the net and you'd be all set. I mean, that'd be a nice luxury to have, but unfortunately, that's not how it works. So, these guys, no experience. Okay, well, it's time to get some experience. You got to get it sometime, and why not now? So, yeah, like I said, I mean, at the end of the day, the goaltender, as we all know, is the most important position on the ice. And I mean, the better that is, your better chance is to win for sure.
Kami, I needed to channel your inner Mike Babcock here. What's the biggest piece
Oh, you want me to be an asshole?
Yeah, pretty much. Biggest piece of advice to this Leafs team, if you could speak to them going into the playoffs, would be what?
You know what? I think I don't want to repeat myself, but I mean, obviously the heat's going to get cranked up. I know Marner's having a good year, and I would actually like to ask you guys what you think is going to go on there. But I would say from the outside looking in, I would say there's a lot of Leafs fans that, I mean, they've been, which you take it for granted when it's happening, but, the regular season is just kind of a given now while they're making the playoffs. And the playoffs is what people are going to remember for sure. And there's a couple guys on that team, Marner included, where basically, like, he's having a great year. Like, what is he, 6th or 7th in scoring? And I mean, he's having a good year. But his year kind of starts in game 1, round 1. I would say for the Toronto Maple Leafs, I would say keep it simple and don't go on your phone, or don't turn on the radio, or just keep it simple and keep to yourself. I think that would be my inner Babcock. I'd probably have to word it a little better in front of the team, but I think they do have a good team. Are they going to win? I don't know, but I like their chances. They're not the favorite, but they're in the mix for sure. So block out the noise and just play and keep it simple.
I won't lie. It's always sensitive when I hear the name Babcock and cell phones now. I thought you were going in that direction, like show me your phone, but you weren't. You just don't even look at your phone. That's better, right?
That's right. Yeah. Don't even look at your phone. Stay off social media. Yeah, Babs and his team collages.
Stay out of Vegas.
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah. I tell you what, I don't know if you guys are golfers, but that Shadow Creek is a special place. But 2 nights in Vegas, and like I said, I do not feel great today.
Where'd you stay in Vegas, Kami?
We stayed at Aria. So if you're gonna play, Shadow Creek is owned by like the MGM group. So if you're gonna play there, you got to stay at one of their hotels, which they have a bunch, so it's not a big deal. So yeah, we stayed there. Yeah, it was awesome. Comp too, which was nice.
Oh, okay.
Through nothing that I do. Zero. I had nothing to do with it. I was just riding coattails. But yeah, it was nice. I think Shadow Creek is now, if you were to go there and pay, I think a round is $1,300 or something like that.
Wow.
It's like it's insane. I think it's the most expensive round on the planet. But I will say,
it wasn't long ago that it was like $300 or $400, and people are like, "That's insane! Pebble Beach is only $500," and now they're just blowing the doors off of anything you ever imagined. It's crazy.
Blowing the doors off, yeah. Shadow Creek's like $1,200 or $1,300. I think Pebble Beach is like $800 or $900 or something like that. But
wild.
But in saying that, I will say, if you're looking for a golf experience, I would be hard. And I've been fortunate enough to play a decent amount of golf, and I've been to some nice places for sure. I would be hard-pressed to find a golf course that's more fun, hard, but playable, and a better like experience with, you're calling in airstrikes, you're having shots, it's a pretty good time. I probably had a couple too many shots, but it is a great time.
It happens in Vegas, and the only course I know there is Chandelier Bar. I don't know if you've been there before. Good spot. Cosmos.
Okay.
Cosmos.
Oh, yeah, I have been there. Yes, I have. I didn't go this trip, but I have been there. Yeah.
We're probably giving Rosie, to be honest, FOMO, because Rosie can't step foot in Vegas ever since his last trip there, where he almost got in a tilly with a guy who's about to pass Wayne Gretzky, by the way. So.
Oh, geez. Really? Well, that would have been bad news for him.
All right, screw it. I'm in Vegas.
Yeah, I gotta hear this.
We were staying at the Aria too, I believe, and I'm cruising around. It's late, and there's this high limit room just kind of right there, 3 steps is also. I go and I sit down, start pulling some money out. I'm gonna play some blackjack, and I look over and it's Ovi just sitting there all by himself. And I'm a little bit full, and I was like, and I'm not being obnoxious or anything. Like, I know the last thing he wants to do is, oh my God, imagine. So I'm like, Ovi, and he's sitting there like this. He's got no chips and no cash in front of him, looking straight ahead. So looking back, I'm like, did this guy just lose half a ticket on the table or what? So I'm like, Ovi, let's play a shoe here. Let's throw it out. Come on, let's go. And he just turns around. He's like, shut the fuck up. And I'm like, oh, and I'm like, okay, take it easy, buddy. And then I'm like,
oh boy.
And then I start to kind of give it back a little bit, going, am I bothering you by sitting at your prestigious table? And I'm kind of like, okay. So my buddy grabs me. He's like, go over to the bar. We go over to the bar, and then I'm lobbing a couple of things over to him, like, fucking settle down there. Like, oh, and I'm like, oh boy. And he comes over and he says, you need to shut the fuck up. And I'm like, well, you need to take it easy. And then he smacks the back of my head and walks away.
He hit you?
Yeah. And I was like, and I'm like on my stool, like, what do I do? Like, and I was like, I'm not in the best place ever. So I'm like, do I tackle this big cock? I'm like, can I even tackle him? And my buddy's just like, easy, Rosie. And that was the end of it. Thank goodness. But it was late, and he was not in a good mood. I can say that.
Okay. Were you sitting? Do you remember? Were you sitting in that orange room and Aria with the high limit tables in the bar right there? Is that where it was?
Yes, it's pretty wide open. Yes,
okay.
That's exactly where.
That's where I spent the last 2 days, so I know exactly where you were sitting.
Yeah.
I actually kind of have a little bit of an Ovechkin, not like that, but he must spend a lot of time in that room, because the last time I was there was a couple years ago, and I had a lot going on at home at the time 2 years ago. So I went to Shadow Creek, had a bunch of drinks, and I don't really remember a whole lot, but I ended up meeting him there. He was in a shitty mood again. I gave it to him a little bit, but I think I was probably a little more full than you, where I ended up smacking my own head off the bar, and I got hauled out of there in a wheelchair.
Oh,
I know. Right
what
out
is
like
with this
property.
guy that brings out the
I know. God damn it.
Grumpy Ovi, old grumpy Russian, I guess.
Know.
It's
what's he gotta be
something
grumpy
people
about?
didn't know.
He's gonna have 1,000 goals. He should be pumped.
Yeah, no
Full
kidding.
circle, man. Full circle.
Oh,
I
boy.
love that. That's excellent stuff, Kami. Great to catch up with you, buddy. We'll talk soon, okay?
Awesome. Yeah, thanks a lot for having me, guys. It's good to see you too.
Thanks for dragging your carcass out of bed, man. We appreciate it.
Hey, it's my pleasure. I'm going right back to the wrapper.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.